I wanted to know why would women whose husband is married to multiple women, even if they're clean, they're clean, they're disease-free, things as far as that, be contracting infections. Just because there are infections that are happening does not necessarily mean that there are diseases and STIs going about. And let me give you the reason why. I'm going to give you what I found out is pretty much like a checklist for the husband, a checklist for the wife to minimize or just not have it altogether where you get these infections and irritations when it comes to intercourse.
Warning, viewer discretion is advised. The content, views, and educational material you are about to experience could challenge your belief, trigger strong emotions, and frankly, piss you off. This isn't for everyone. If you're not ready to confront new ideas, or if your feelings bruise easily, this might be the time to click away. Expect to be challenged, to think, and you might even want to scream at the screen. Proceed with caution, and remember, you chose to be here. Let's get it.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace is Coach Nyla, one of the co-founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as co-author of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. Okay, in this video, I really have to tackle some things because in polygyny, or when people hear about polygyny, polygyny get a bad rep. One of the main things polygyny get a bad rep about, or where it's a lot of different negativity being spread amongst the internet sphere, or just with women whispering and talking amongst themselves, and people who don't know and people who probably know. One of the main things they talk about is sexual intimacy. And sexual contact and STIs, and if that is more common to have STIs or the germaphobe or anything like that when it comes to practicing polygyny. It was one of the sisters, she made a comment about it. She was like, well, I have an issue about diseases, and I'm a germaphobe, and these different things like that, where it seems as though people put it out there that more wives, more STIs, more sex, more wives, more sex, more issues, more problems. And that's not necessarily the case. Now, I got some information from a medical professional about you don't have to have STIs in order for you to have these infections. Because there were a number of women, number of wives, some that are scared that they will get multiple infections, or some who have had multiple infections since their husbands started practicing polygyny, or since they became a wife in polygyny. And I'm going to give you some information, maybe open your eyes to some things to make you, to allow you to understand that it's not about the lack of cleanliness or that someone has diseases and things as far as that. Now, true, you should make sure that your health is important. Cleanliness is important, that you're getting regular checkups and things as far as that. But just because there are infections that are happening does not necessarily mean that there are diseases and STIs going about. And let me give you the reason why. And this was some eye-opening things to me. I mean, those were things that I have had experienced. I have not experienced anything like that. However, there have been other sisters, there have been other women that spoke on it, some who have fear about it, and some who have had this happen to them. So I wanted to know why would women whose husband is married to multiple women, even if they're clean, they're clean, they're disease-free, things as far as that, be contracting infections. And I was informed that yes, you can actually get infections and you can get them multiple times because you can be very sensitive to a number of different things. So I actually had to take notes so I can give this information to you guys, because it's really important that we don't spread a lot of drama and pun intended, pun not intended, or whatever you want to call it, or, so I didn't mean to, so I say pun not intended, but it was there, so I'm going to take it. That we don't want to spread these negative connotations about polygyny, because polygyny, of course, and I'm stating it as polygyny being one man married to multiple women, and it's under the form of polygamy, which is being married to multiple spouses, those type of things. However, it gets a bad rep. It gets a bad rep because people have fear. And a lot of times people have fear, they just fear the unknown. They're not sure what's going on. They're not thoroughly educated on what's going on. And what we do at OPR is educate on the proper ways to practice polygyny and to actually educate you on how to keep yourself informed so you're fulfilled. So let's get into it. I'm going to give you 4 things that were brought to my attention of how this can actually happen. 1, bacterial imbalance. So that's like bacterial vaginosis, things as far as that. And you can have thorough cleaning. The thing is, your pH balance can be disrupted. That's the next thing. Your pH balance can be disrupted. But when it comes to bacterial imbalance, there are a number of different things where if you are cleaning with something or something that you're not used to, that your body is not used to, or you may have eaten something that your body doesn't agree with, and different things like that. So you can actually have a bacterial imbalance, and you can get a bacterial infection because of that. Say, signs in a wife might include discharge with a strong odor, irritation or discomfort, not caused by an STI, but by imbalance. So natural bacteria from one wife's environment can be transferred to the other. And that's even when the husband is taking a shower afterwards and cleaning himself before having sex or intercourse or whatever you want to call it with another wife, with his other wife. And I'm going to get into that later. You want to find out more, just make sure you stay tuned. So the next, as I told you before, pH disruption. pH disruption, because we have a natural pH and it's a delicate pH. But semen is alkaline. Now, I guess I should have said before, this is going to be an adult conversation. So we're going to speak like adults here, because when you don't know things, you start spewing negative information or the wrong information. And we have to have clear communication and talk and speak like adults. So we are learning the proper things. So we're not being petty and being childish when it comes to having problems with our husband practicing polygyny or our co-wives or anything like that. Okay, and being able to explain these things and speak in a confident manner when we have other people that's on the outside trying to break up our happy homes or try to put negative things in our head because they don't know. Okay? So, and one of the main things that comes around full circle over and over and over again is the topic about sex and topic about diseases and the topic about spreading STIs and different things like that. That can happen, the pH disruption. Even if it's cleaned externally, it can affect the next wife's internal pH, possibly triggering an irritation or yeast overgrowth. And that can also happen when you are using the wrong soaps or you're using something different, a different type of soap. And if your husband is using a different type of soap or detergent, and probably the other wife is not using the same soap or detergent and something different, whether it's in his clothes or his skin or anything like that. The number 3, residual fluids or skin contact. Now, this is interesting because I was thinking, I said, well, if the husband is washing up, and this is what I was talking about earlier, if the husband is washing after intercourse with his wife or with his wives, then how will he transfer residual fluid to the other wife? So this is what I was told. So I told you I had to take some notes so I can get this information to you. It said cleaning his genitalia, cleaning his penis, cleaning his man parts externally doesn't always remove microscopic traces of semen or vaginal secretions. So even when washing, they can remain in the urethra or under the foreskin if he's uncircumcised. And when transferred, can irritate and affect the other wife. So you stay tuned. I'm going to give you what I found out is pretty much like a checklist for the husband, a checklist for the wife to minimize or just not have it all together where you get these infections and irritations when it comes to intercourse, so to speak. So hopefully if this is for you, stay tuned, listen, take notes. If it's for someone you know, make sure you share the video because sharing is caring, and it actually helps us to make sure that we are educated on this information and not spreading false information. Okay, so the fourth one is there can be micro tears. There could be inflammation if you're not properly lubricated and naturally lubricated, and it can make you more susceptible to irritation or infection. So I'm making sure that I'm stating the right things here. To irritation or infection, even from normal bacteria, even from your own bacteria, normal things as far as that. So I'm going to give you some prevention suggestions, and feel free to take notes. Feel free to watch this video again. Feel free to share, because sharing is caring. So those 4 things: bacterial imbalance, pH disruption, residual fluids or skin contact, and microtrauma or inflammation. Those are things outside of diseases and STIs that can cause infections, whether you're in polygyny or not. But if you are in polygyny and you're having these infections, don't always look at the point or thinking that it's your husband doing something wrong, or your husband is nasty, or your co-wife is nasty, or certain things like that. It can be this. Now, I'm not saying that it's not the other thing. I'm saying that it's a possibility that it's not. So you make sure that you as an adult, you as a grown person who is capable of taking care of herself, make sure that you're getting the proper knowledge as well as the proper care, that you're discussing things with your husband, that you're going to the doctor, that you're finding out what it is and what is going on. Okay? So that was a couple little tips, but I'm going to give you what is a checklist, hygiene checklist for husbands as well as wives in practicing polygyny. This is the husbands first. So if you want to tell that to your husband, then please do that.
You're already on our channel, and you see how we are empowering people when it comes to polygamy education. You may be wondering, what's the next step? Especially knowing that we are the authors of the book,
Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. If you want to get off the emotional roller coaster, whether it's jealousy, insecurity, frustration, anger, maybe even guilt in some cases, you're going to want to pick up this book.
Definitely wish I would have had this book back a while ago when we first embarked on polygyny. And you will learn a lot of things about minding your marriage and what that actually means, so you're not comparing your marriage to your co-wives or anybody else's for that matter.
If you've heard, I'm not against polygamy, I just against when it's not done right, you want to learn how to do it right, this will teach you how to be more than twice the man you need to be to get it done. Let's talk polygamy.com. We look forward to shipping yours off to you.
Pre-intimacy preparation. So shower, of course, with mild fragrance-free soap before intimacy. It would be a beautiful thing, possibly if you, and I'm not getting into your bedrooms or anything like that. This is just something to make sure you guys know to properly do some things to help prevent this. Another thing is that if you decided you want to be more intimate and do it together, shower together, whatever the case may be, then do so and bring you closer, instead of fighting about what happened and how this happened, and talking about each other in a negative way. And we call it vilifying. So vilifying the other spouse, instead of bringing each other together. What we are trying to do at OPR is make sure that we're bringing husbands and wives together and making sure that families are growing and are being educated in this complex, not so talked about in a proper way form of marriage called polygamy, okay? Pre-intimacy preparation, making sure you shower with a mild soap, nothing too fragrant or anything like that, because that could cause irritation and it can mess with the pH balance. Trim and clean nails. Make sure that, it's something that's not going to create wounds or scratches or anything like that. As we talked about micro trauma and tears and things as far as that. Use fresh, clean towels, of course. I don't think I have to tell you that, but like I said, it's a checklist. Number 2, after intercourse with one wife, make sure that you urinate after intimacy to flush out the urethra, any residual semen, and shower with a gentle cleanser, wash thoroughly, inner thighs, all that other good stuff, wear new underwear, fresh clothes, don't carry any bodily fluids to the next place, to the next wife, the next household or interaction. 3, space between intimate encounters. That's pretty much key. It's not going to always be the case. It is what it is, regardless of how we want to feel about it. Wives, it is what it is. When we're not focused on what our husband is doing with our co-wife, and we are focused more on our relationship and building and bonding with our husband, I'm pretty sure we're not trying to be all up in his other bedroom and talking about, did you sleep with her? Did you just sleep with her? And all these other things like that. That's not important. What's important is that you are communicating in a proper fashion for your marriage, the health of your marriage, as well as connecting for the health of your marriage. So with him, he can, make sure that he's mindful of the space between, especially if it's causing infections between the wives. So avoiding back-to-back intimacy can reduce the bacterial transfer and give your body time to reset. And that we talked about earlier, that even mild bacteria or, good bacteria, so to speak, can cause issues because our bodies are so sensitive. Number 4, natural pH support. And this is really cool to me because it is something that you can actually do to help your pH balance. And that's drinking some water with some lemon or apple cider vinegar and things like that to pretty much like cleanse your system. So that's pretty cool. 5, communication and observation, which is key. I talk about communication a lot. Having that proper communication, being able to communicate without judgment, being able to let it be known that you are having some issues or that, there's some infections that's going on and you weren't having them before. If you sometimes we forget, and sometimes we have selective amnesia at times, because maybe we were getting it like that because we are sensitive. But sometimes when we think about our husband being with someone else, it's easy to just blame it on polygyny or is blaming it on him being with somebody else. And that's the reason why we're getting these infections and not realizing that we're just sensitive to a number of different things and being able to communicate that. And respecting the wife's rhythm, having your husband understand that, respecting what that looks like when it comes to how we are feeling, when it comes to how our cycle is, different things like that. Making sure that's important, that the husband is understanding of that and respecting the rhythm of the wife. So now this is for us, the hygiene checklist for us. making sure that we are taking care of our personal hygiene, our intimate hygiene, maintaining that regular hygiene, avoid douching. I say douching, avoid douching. And I've been told that a long time ago, because you could be pushing bacteria into yourself instead of cleansing like you should. You can do apple cider vinegar rinses and washes and soaks in the tub and things like that. You don't have to worry. You don't have to go and put things, a douche inside you and things like that to cleanse. We have natural way that we cleanse ourselves. Our body does that. Alhamdulillah. All praise due to Allah. Allah created us in a beautiful way that we can get rid of bacteria in a proper fashion. Post-intimacy care, making sure that we are urinating after intimacy, taking a shower, cleansing with mild soap, wearing breathable cotton to make sure that we have proper airflow, and helps with healing when it comes to micro tears and inflammation and different things like that. Because as I stated before, we are sensitive and we are the receivers and not the givers when it comes to that. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. I don't have to spell it out for you. Number 3, awareness of your body. So monitor your body for signs of infection, irritation, discharge issues, things as far as that. Make sure you are doing that. So you can adjust your care properly and be able to communicate this with your husband. And seek medical advice early if you're having those issues. Also, respecting the rhythm. Communicate with your husband when your body and emotions, need some rest and time to heal. And that's what we talked about earlier with the husband respecting the rhythm when it comes to cycles, and also the healing of the body and things as far as that, especially after intercourse. And that supportive communication, of course, being able to be open and gentle about discussing these things, not being judgy, not being accusatory, things as far as that, but also being open and warm and honest about how you're feeling physically, mentally, and emotionally about that, okay? And then, you can ask for helpful suggestions without blame. So yes, I'm encouraging you to have grace, patience, all that other good stuff. It was very necessary to discuss because we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it enough, and we don't talk about it enough because it is a sensitive topic, and sometimes we got to tread lightly when it comes to that, not to overstep any boundaries. But if we don't talk about it, we won't be able to know the proper things to do. And then we'll be spreading misinformation around. I'm Coach Nyla. I'm known as the accountability coach. And not only known as the accountability coach, I help women to make sure that they are not feeling cheated, that they are not feeling dismissed or deserted, make sure they are not extremely emotional, and making sure that they are empowered, that they are connected, and they are offering that beautiful communication that allows them to have fulfillment in their marriages, and then especially in polygyny. So if you guys want to find out more information on how I do that, make sure you check me out at coachnyla.com. And I want you to comment mind shift in the comments if you made it this far, because it takes a mind shift in making sure that we know what's going on with our bodies, that we know what's going on in our marriages, that we know what's going on with ourselves in order to have fulfillment in our marriages, especially in polygyny. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I hope you got some good information from this. Share, because sharing is caring. And I will see you in the next video. Make sure you are growing intentionally, loving fearlessly, and connecting on a higher level every single day. My name is Coach Nyla. I'll see you soon. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.